Amy Adams is finally stepping back a little bit as per a post a few weeks ago involving the Tennessee Titans, and they made one of the better moves, I think, and a little bit unexpected in hiring their new head coach in Robert Saleh. Now, I think a lot of people are going to automatically be like, whoa, like Robert Saleh, like this isn't good, his identity with the Jets and stuff like that, and that's kind of where a lot of the criticism starts to run around. However, the difference is that I think that we need to understand the context of his situation at the Jets. He came in and he inherited a roster that had very limited talent, very unstable position at quarterback, and he had a losing culture already that lingered for years. And despite that, he did accomplish establishing and bringing together one of the best defensive identities in the entirety of the NFL, especially in the secondary. By his second season, the Jets fielded one of the more respected defenses in football, I believe. And I think that this is going to be huge going into Tennessee, which, traditionally was a defensive heavy front whenever we had Mike Vrabel with us, and that was a lot of their identity. So I think to be able to establish that defense again, bringing in Robert Saleh, that'll be a good move for the Titans as a whole. Obviously, that is the problem lies in the offense more than anything else and the instability we've had in offense. However, I think that, having a good defense helps set up and bring together a better offense because the offense feels more easy in their ability to actually call trickier or riskier plays to be able to drive down the field more, because they have that faith in that defense that they're going to bring together. So, before he became a head coach, obviously he was a defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, and that was when they had a top-tier defense in themselves. His defenses were very fast, very physical, disciplined, and they were very fundamentally sound all around. They didn't rely on gimmicks or any kind of special flashy stuff. They just relied on just three key things: pursuit, communication, and execution of the different plays on the field when it came to the offense. From their blitz packages to their coverage in the secondary. And again, I can't iterate enough how much that secondary in what he has established is so important from the 49ers to the Jets, because that is something the defense for the Titans has really lacked, honestly, is a secondary for a couple years at least. We had a chance last year, I think, to have a decent secondary, but there was just too many injuries all around. He helped that unit helped carry the 49ers to a Super Bowl game. And, it's established Saleh as one of the more respected defensive minds in the league. And I think it's perfect for the Titans as a whole, especially when you have people like Jeffrey Simmons still on the defensive line, who is just hungry. And now he trusts Cam Ward, and he established he is staying in Tennessee because of Cam Ward. And that is huge because he is, the best defensive player on the field, I would argue, right now. So I think that that's going to be very important as him being the defensive leader to get along with Saleh, and for Saleh to be able to integrate the system around the defensive line into the secondary. One of his best strengths, Saleh's best strengths, is the staff that he builds around him. He comes from coaching trees that really emphasized a lot of collaboration and accountability. Not necessarily he has no real ego, honestly, which is good because a coach with ego has problems because he's not willing to learn or to grow. But expect. We now have a strong offensive coordinator, I believe, in Brian Daboll, and I'll go over that in a separate video why I think he's a good fit for the Titans. Even though his time at the Giants was not very successful, I think that Daboll is the perfect fit as an offensive coordinator for a young Cam Ward moving forward. So Saleh picking him was already a perfect mix and a perfect execution of what they need to establish on offense as well. He's very widely respected by many players. For a lot of his leadership ability and his efforts in preparation that he spends behind a lot of the games. But I think long term, I don't think that he is a splash hire like Brian Callahan was. Brian Callahan kind of just came out of nowhere, and the problem with him is even though he was the Bengals offensive coordinator when they were being successful on offense, I don't think he was really calling a lot of the plays. And it wasn't seen that much until he actually became a head coach, and then we saw the issues that he had established as a head coach. He just wasn't very consistent. I don't think he was very well respected overall. However, Saleh is coming in as already a respected person, just has been put in bad situations. And I would say right now he's put in a bad situation with the Titans. But if Amy actually pulls back and lets the coaches and the management do their job, I believe that this can be for the benefit overall and be very well executed for the Titans as we move forward in what we're developing with Cam Ward being, our head front guy as our quarterback. So we need to let Saleh do his thing. Amy needs to be hands off. Let them do their thing. Obviously, if a couple years go by and it's just atrocious, then she needs to step in. But she needs to lay off. She needs to let Saleh do his thing. We have a very good opportunity right here. Dabo is our offensive coordinator. We have the highest cap space in the NFL currently right now. We have the number 4 overall pick for the draft. We have a very good opportunity to develop and make a good actual team. And also along with Saleh coming in and Brian Dabo coming in as well, one of the bigger things of that is our offensive line, which we are bringing in with Dabo from the Giants. We're bringing in Carmen Brasillo, who has a pretty good. The Giants were not very good whenever it came to their overall play, but their offensive line was actually one of the highlights of that team, I think. So you see that Robert Saleh is already building a good sect of coaches around him and is beginning to establish this team as his own identity, which is good. And I don't think he had that ability with the Jets, and he did not have the ability or talent like he has in Cam Ward at the Jets as quarterback. So now he just needs to work on building around him. I think Robert Saleh was a fantastic hire. Obviously, a lot of people wanted John Harbaugh, but that was like the cream of the crop pick. But I actually think this is going to work out better in the long term for the Titans than Harbaugh would have. I think Harbaugh's kind of just at his end of his career kind of thing. But Saleh, I think he's got that drive. He's got that mentality. He's got a chip on his shoulder for his time with the Jets. And I think he has something to prove, and I think he's going to do it here with the Titans. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, we're going to go to a Super Bowl next year. Mike Vrabel did that with the Patriots, but, we are where we are now. Thanks, Amy. But I think that Robert Saleh could definitely move us forward in that progress to making our way and establishing our presence in the NFL from the year to year. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching Titan Watch. Tune back in. Our next episode, we will dive into Brian Dabo. And then after that, we will talk about Carmen Brasillo and how their importance to the Titans is going to be just no more limited than Robert Saleh's. So anyway, have a wonderful day, guys, and tighten up.